Yeah, and the founder of Seekim Apparel, a Christian-based clothing apparel that spreads faith through fashion. I wondered about that, but not to worry, he will tell us more about that just about now. And the title of Kerry Amani's speech is Seekim, a brand built on belief. Kerry Amani.
Before I start, I'm looking around and I'm seeing a few people who look a bit sleepy. And I want to make sure everyone is attentive during my speech. So I'm going to ask you, audience, if you may, could you kindly stand up? Okay, so a few weeks ago, I'm sure the guys at the back will remember this environment. We were being taught about the bones. And I remember one interesting bone, and it's this one right here. And do you know what this bone is called? It's not the waist. It's called the pelvic girdle. So can you turn to them and tell them pelvic girdle? Now I want you to hold on to your pelvic girdle. Everyone, please, I'm not sure you hold on to your pelvic girdle. I want you to hold on to your pelvic girdle, and I just want you to take your pelvic girdle in a circle. Stay in a circle, okay. You can sit down now. I'm sure everyone's attentive. So, a few thank yous before I get into the bulk of the speech. I'd really like to thank school administration for giving us this opportunity, our lovely judges for being here since the start of the morning, my classmates who have been supportive all the way from the start, and my schoolmates. I'd really like to thank my team, Paul and Lang over there, who is helping me the slides. And Isaac is sitting down there, and Nasruddin who isn't here today because he had to go for leave. But I'd really like to give a special shout out to Dino Mukuri, my co-founder, who is there in the audience today. He's here watching. And finally also to my parents, my loving parents. My mother over here, and my father, the man, the cameraman over there. You'll also hear something about him soon. Okay. So today I'm going to tell you a story. Or a story of how I lost something. And I'm not talking about something like spare change, or that one time you lost your phone, spent 30 minutes looking for it and realized that it was in your pocket the whole time. No, I'm telling you a story of something that I lost that was almost as valuable as my life. And this is also a story of how one question in innovation and leadership class led to me creating a brand that brings purpose to people's wardrobes and impacts lives daily. So, this story starts in Homer Bay County. Class 6. That was the year I was taken to Homer Bay County by my parents. No, I prefer to say deported. I'm not here. I still don't know why. But I was taken to Homer Bay County, the shores of Lake Victoria. And in Homer Bay County, it was a journey trying to adapt. Coming from the city, going to the village, things were much slower. Buildings were not that big, cars were less flashy, and I had to change so many things because now it was no longer fish, it was now this. It was no longer, hey bro, chill, no, it was Omera Wewano. So I had to adapt, right? And even though it wasn't the richest people there, money, one thing I learned in my time there was that there are things much valuable than anything money could buy. And that was a feeling of faith and community that these people had. Though they didn't have much, they appreciated every single thing that they had. This was shown through weekly vespers, prayers before and after every meal, morning devotions. These were things that showed me what faith truly was and what really mattered in life. And from them I learned. 2 years I spent there. But then, again I'm deported. I found myself back in the city. Things are now fast, things are flashy, everything is different. Now if I'm out of your name, what do you have to bring to the table? So what did I do? I came, I did adapted, I'm now a village boy, I'm a homo boy. So I went with the same characteristics. Praying before meals, morning devotions. But then at the time, that is not what the city wanted. Can you imagine what they would ask me in class? Is it true that you used to swim to school with the fishes? Imagine. People didn't notice me. They didn't care about this boy from home Bay anymore. And one of the worst things is the girls ignored me. But one thing that humans are known for is the ability to adapt. And so adapt I did. They wanted me to become the best at something. I became a nationally recognized debater. I became one of the best basketball players in my school. I finally gave myself a name. I was now the guy. But in this stage of metamorphosis when I was shedding what I had become to become something else, what they wanted me to be, I had said something that was valuable, but I couldn't tell what it was. I just felt a feeling of emptiness. But I still couldn't put my finger on what exactly that was. Then one day in innovation and leadership class when I joined Nova, in this class, it was a whole new playing field. Because here we are being taught to ask real questions. Questions like, what impact will you leave once you leave this world? How many lives would you have changed? What problem breaks your heart enough to fix it? And for the first time, guys, I did not think of reinventing the spoon or turning water into fire or some brand new innovation. No, I didn't think of any of that. I thought of that feeling of emptiness within me. That feeling of lacking something that I had once gained, and I realized that I had lost my faith. So, realizing this, I had to think of something. I had to think of ways to solve this problem. I had to think of what did I need to do. So I went to church. And in church, that's where I met my co-founder, Otieno Mokuri. Now, in church, we came from similar paths but with different stories. His was a bit more clean. Not only was he weak spiritually, but physically. Because Otieno Mokuri, as you see him here today, is a sickle cell patient. And the sad thing was that he had also forgotten his creator, what had given him breath of life. But the way he realized it was very sad. A few weeks ago, before we had met, he had lost two of his best friends to sickle cell. Childhood best friends. Could you imagine losing two of your best friends within a week? And this made him realize that me being here today, you see him as he is a very handsome young man. You realize that, it made him realize that, you know what? Me being here is a privilege. Me being able to breathe is a privilege. And I had forgotten the person who allowed me to be here today, his creator. So we sat down, using the lessons we learned from innovation and leadership class, we thought to ourselves, what can we do? And then I realized one of the most well-known languages in this world, it's not English, it's not Greek, you can take a guess. It's fashion. Because one thing I realized is that some of the loudest sermons are not those said on the pulpit, but those when people look at you in the way you present yourself, on that first impression. That is one thing I realized. With the fashion industry, according to the Forbes 2022 report, earning $6.5 billion in revenue. Not in the world, not in Africa, but right here in Kenya. So there's potential in this market. But when you looked around, you saw people spending millions, selling an arm and a leg on things that don't mean anything. clothes that were valueless, things that just had random words that meant nothing. So I thought to myself, how can I bring purpose from fashion? How can I allow people, the youth and the elderly, everyone to be able to express their faith in a way that doesn't seem like they're shouting or they're imposing it on you, but something they're comfortable with. Something that looks stylish but still had purpose. And that's how I came up with Seekim. Seekim Apparel is a Christian clothing brand I started with Dino Mukuli that aims to combine faith with passion, allowing you to wear your purpose boldly. And our style is simple. We focus on minimalistic, modern, and purposeful designs because we realize that for most people, things like church have become a routine, especially for the youth, where we're paying more attention to notifications than to our own pastor. And it made me think, why? And as yes, the problem is also on us, the youth, but then it's also on the avenues we're being given. Nowadays, church is not seen as school, and that's the truth. But that doesn't have to be that way. So we combine modern designs with purposeful messages to allow you to be able to represent your faith. And I'm so excited to say that it's not just an idea we had in church or a question in an innovation leadership class. No, it has become a movement. It has become a movement where these are not just customers anymore, they are seekers, people who have decided to stand for something they need. But then I realized, as the prophet started coming in, we started getting orders on orders on orders, and inboxes being filled. I realized, at the end of the day, for what? Yes, I'll make my profit, but then what? And then I remembered Dino's story. Do you know why those two died from sickle cell? It's not because there was no treatment for them, but it's because they could not afford to pay for that medical bill. As of right now, NHIF does not cover the full expenses for sickle cell patients. And that's saddening because for most people, that is the backbone as which their healthcare relies on. That was all the other problems that my eloquent speakers here have highlighted. We said that we need to do something. And that's how I came up with the Amani Fund. You see, the Amani Fund was a foundation that I started because I realized that I did not want to see another best friend die. Because according to WHO, about 30,000 deaths a year in Kenya are caused by sickle cell. 30,000 deaths by sickle cell anemia. These are people going untreated simply because they do not have the means. It's not because the means are not there, but they do not have the access to them. And so, I wanted to myself, I said, you know what, we need to do something. Amani means peace. And other than being my name, peace is not passive. Peace is shown through your actions. And one thing I realized is that, you know what, I know that not all of us might share the same faith, I acknowledge that. But one thing I'm sure that every single person in this room understands is the language of compassion. The language of humanity. That we are brought into this world not just to feed our own selfish needs, but to impact our life. That is one language I'm sure we all understand. And though you might not share my faith, I know you share my vision. So what do we do in the Amani Fund? We take a portion of our profits from Seekim Apparel to run food drives, school support systems, and aid sickle cell families in need. In fact, let me be honest with you. Today, my main goal here is not to win this competition, but to get as many change makers to be able to support our movement. Each and every single one of you, yes, I mean each and every single one of you, Jaden, Amina, and our judge here, all of each and every single one of you, yes ma'am, even you, has the ability to impact a life. Whether it's buying Seekim Apparel, yeah, because when you buy clothes, a portion of these profits go into these funds. Whether it's even just sharing the message, telling someone about our movement, or even if it is volunteering, Because it's not just about giving empty funds and just resources, it's about putting a face behind them. Because when these people are receiving this thing, they want to remember the smile that led to their days being better, the smile that could have saved a life. One thing I know is that this world needs people who are bold, people who are ready to stand for something. Nothing can happen if you do not have purpose. This world needs people who are ready to make a difference, people who are ready to make a change. This world needs seekers. This world needs people who will seek change, people who will seek impact, people who will seek purpose. So the question I will leave you with today is, will you seek Him today?